Okay. Need to have a purpose. Could that purpose be anything? Like, could it be if you were really good at basketball, would it be basketball or? Cool. So I just started recording in both areas. Cool. So I'm gonna kind of set this stage here. So, or I'm gonna have you set the stage here. So where are we right now?
We are in the University of Arkansas at Little Rock campus at the Secular Student Alliance Conference.
Cool. And why are you here?
I'm here because while I've been non-religious for a long time, I haven't been active um, in the secular space. I've been doing separation of church and state organizing, but not in that name. And I wanted to tap back into the community to see how things are going, meet some people. And I think I have a perspective that adds value to our movement. So I wanted to connect with folks who are doing the same stuff as me.
Fantastic. Awesome. And well, I'm here doing the Street Epistemology workshop. I interviewed Colby. I almost forgot his name. I remembered it. It came back to me. I'm really bad with names. Envied him. You're kind of familiar with him. When did you meet him?
Just I think it was yesterday,
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah, because
With how you guys were talking, I assumed you knew each other previously.
no, we just hit it off right at the start.
All right. Okay, cool. So you said you're kind of somewhat familiar with street epistemology, not exactly an expert or anything. It seemed like you were indicating earlier. So cool. You agreed to sit down and chat. So that's awesome. You've had a little bit of time to think about what you potentially might want to talk about. Did anything come to mind?
Honestly, I don't know. What are the boundaries? What do.
There's really no boundaries on my part.
Yeah.
The boundaries, you set the boundaries basically.
Okay. So pretty much just I choose the belief that I want to interrogate.
You, I wouldn't use the word interrogate. That has kind of a negative connotation. Like I'm gonna just it's not gonna be like that. But yeah, you kind of got the concept right in this sense.
Okay. Interesting. God, honestly, I have no idea. Because I feel we can talk about religion.
Could.
I just feel not that you can ever stop developing an idea or thinking about something, but I just feel like I've moved beyond even really feeling that it's super important in my life to discuss it.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
So religion might be something that's not very important to you.
Yeah.
What is something that is really important to you that you're really passionate about that you'd like the others to believe as well?
Well, I'm very passionate about the idea that it's hard to encompass, but I think that at least my purpose in life is to make the world a better place. It's very cheesy, but I think that it's really hard to get through life without purpose. That's why religion is such a powerful force because it gives people that purpose. And for me, that purpose is just to be a part of the broader movement of dismantling harmful systems and making life more livable for everyone. And I think that a lot of people I've talked to don't quite understand that, or they're you should just want to be happy, you're making your life more difficult by wanting to dedicate so much time towards these things. I have that conversation with my parents a lot because they want me to be happy. They feel like organizing is and advocacy is just adding more stress onto my life when I don't really need to do that. But I feel very strongly that um, honestly, this gives me more than I'm giving it, if that makes sense, which is not why I'm doing it, obviously, but like that's just to say that
It's selfless. That's kind of what you're saying.
more like I mean, I feel like it's kind of selfish if
Mm.
I'm going from that perspective because it's like I get more out of
Oh, I
being
see.
part of this than I'm giving. I'm just one person. Like I can't contribute that much, but um being part of a broader movement has made my life like a million times more meaningful than it would have been otherwise, which I think is invaluable. I
Gotcha.
know that's a good subject, but that's something that I've been thinking about a lot.
No, this is great. This is great. I've been doing something with street epistemology. Me and a few of my few buddies of mine have been trying to integrate street epistemology and nonviolent communication. Uh, Not exactly a household term. You're probably not familiar. Okay, that's a. It's and we've combined it, and we're kind of calling it compassionate epistemology. I'm not completely sold on the name, but I'm going with it. So it kind of uses SE like street epistemology. The process sort of it mirrors it, so it kind of goes like you have a observation about reality of some sort. You have a feeling regarding it, and that feeling leads to a need. And then that with that need, if you want to communicate with that with someone, you can request them to, um, to fulfill that need, or uh, request them to not to do something that will prevent you not do something that will prevent you from fulfilling that need. But with that being said, I think that might be a really interesting this topic might be an interesting way to kind of try that out. Are you comfortable with it?
Sure.
So you said that your parents want you to be happy. Um, so that might be a need, a universal need. Parents wanting their children to be happy. Um, Kind of like, do you think that's maybe they're kind of acting in a protective way? Like, you think that's kind of the underlying what's kind of going on there?
Yeah, I think they see this um, as like something that's harming me or like taking over my life in a way that they don't like because they worked really hard to like get me where I am. So now I have a college, or I will soon have a college degree, and they just want me to like go on the straight path and get a well-paying job regardless of where it's at. Um, and they see this as kind of like deviating from that path, which like obviously stresses them out because they want what they perceive to be what's best for me. And this is not that.
Gotcha. So they're making an observation that you're doing this. Are we calling it activism? What are we
I usually just say organizing.
organizing? Okay, that's a good term. Okay, so they observe that you're doing this organizing, and they feel stressed. They feel concerned. Maybe is the best way. Okay, they feel concerned, and what's underlying that concern is their need to protect you. Okay, and um, and then let's go over your perspective of this. So you're obviously observing that you're doing this organizing, right? How, I think you kind of you said that you kind of filled me in on the need. Maybe you said you want to make a difference you want to make the world a better place, right? That's what you said. And I think that might be also protection, maybe protection for others. You have empathy for others. You want to protect them. Is that where that comes from?
Um, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Protection feels. I feel like it's for me too. It's for
Oh yeah, you did mention that.
yeah. It's like it just feels difficult to. live in a world and see all of these problems, these like interconnecting struggles, and not like spend every waking moment doing something about it.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'm completely following. So let's try to get to the bottom of it. Um, is what what are you fulfilling by doing the organizing?
I think it's just like a need to have a purpose, and once that purpose is defined, then it's just a constant urge to pursue that in like whatever avenue that takes.
Okay. Okay. Need to have a purpose. Could that purpose be anything? Like, could it be if you were really good at basketball, would it be basketball or?
I think so. I think that
Okay.
might just be like an aspect of my personality that I really need like a target or like some kind of just defined goal. And once I have that, I zero in.
Guess I'm wondering why this target and not basketball.
I do like basketball. But um I think part of it is probably there's some things that um because I've definitely had other interests um before I got into like political organizing and all that. Um but it's much easier to make sacrifices and dedicate so much time to something when it's not just about yourself. Because, like, if I was playing
Hmm.
basketball, that would pretty much be just about me. But when it's something that you feel is bigger than you, it's much easier to feel like, yeah, this is something that's worthy of my time and like energy, rather than it being solely like focused on my life.
Okay. So you said it's not necessarily, it might be a little bit about you, but not necessarily completely about you. And you said that it might be about others, if I'm hearing correctly. How does it impact others?
I mean, it depends on what I'm focusing on right now. Um, I'm focused a lot on like community building in my area through like mutual aid, just like making connections with other people who are like minded and joining together to bring attention to the issues that matter to us, and push people to make the decisions that we want them to make, that sort of thing.
Hmm. Okay. Push people to make decisions. What kind of decisions? Like,
Um, It depends on the issue. Usually it's like elected officials, but sometimes it can also be like private businesses.
okay.
Um, just kind of depends on the target.
What's the most important one? Like an example, maybe.
Like the most important issue?
Yeah, an important issue, or what? Where is the biggest impact you want to make?
I think taking, like, of course, there's massive issues that I wish could be tackled, but personally, for me, I want to um, create sustainable structures of organizing in my local area, because then those can like live on like far beyond any one person. Um, and that just looks like building community where I live. So I want to bring people together and like create pathways for education and engagement, um, and a really strong infrastructure like caring for each other, and making sure everyone like has what they need for basic survival, and then we can like move up and pursue greater things.
Basic survival. I'm a little confused.
Go for it.
So earlier I said like it was kind of for a protection, and maybe that word's not the right word. Maybe we're using it a little different. Um, as if it was for protection of others, you said no. Is there a better word to substitute that would make that fit better?
I guess the reason I didn't vibe with protection is that it feels like it's very savory, whereas I feel very much like part of the community that I'm like
Sure.
wanting to work together with. Honestly, I'm trying to think of a better term to describe what I'm feeling. I honestly don't know right now.
Okay. Hmm. Uh, how about preserve the well-being of the community? Would that be better? Less
And like build
strengthen the community? Okay.
strength.
Okay, lots of different stuff.
That kind of
Okay.
thing.
Imperfection of language. Okay, so let me try to recap here. So you're out there organizing. I didn't get a feeling. Did I get a feeling? I don't think I did. I think I just jumped straight to the need. How do you feel when you do this type of work?
I think that the most important part of organizing is like the community aspect that I was talking about, and that is what I feel um, most of all. Just like
Actually mean it in like a literal sense. Like when you're doing this work, what's inside of you? What are your actual feelings?
um, like care, I guess, and love. Is that
Love, love could be a feeling.
Yeah.
Very strong feeling. Yeah. Okay.
especially for the people around me that I'm working with?
Okay. Terrific. Okay. So now I'll do the recap. So we got you're doing the organizing. You have have it evokes a feeling of love when you're doing the organizing. You have the need. I said protection. We couldn't really find a good word for that. But you have you want to preserve your community. You want to preserve people's well-being, maybe, and yeah. Then you have this kind of. I don't know how severe it is. Maybe it's a very mild. Uh, I wouldn't maybe not conflict. Is it a conflict with your parents?
I think it's a disagreement, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. I guess with regards with your parents, uh, what could you request of your parents that would improve? Like, um, are they with this disagreement? Is something does it bother you enough to where you'd want to talk to them about it? Is there a change necessary?
I mean, this is something that is very impactful in my life, and that I'll probably continue to do for the rest of my life. So it does. Um, it would be nice to connect with them on that level and see that they value like my purpose as much as I do. But I also don't really expect that of them. And we can still be a family without them like completely understanding every aspect of my life. So it's not something that bothers me per se. It's more so that I can't share like certain things with them and expect them to feel the same way about it as I do. So it's like I have to kind of close off a part of my life.
I wonder if so. You kind of I'm sorry. I'm trying to gather my thoughts to explain this. So I think that we all have like these universal needs, and we apply different strategies to fulfill them, right? Do you think that your parents would have this need for preserving the well-being of their community,
I
or at least desire, maybe?
I think that they view community as much more like closer than I do.
Okay.
And that might just be because of the world we live in, or like the country, anyways, is so individualized. So their view of community is like our family and like maybe friends. So I think they feel it in that way. Like I see how hard they work to protect our family and like do what they need to do for the people that we directly know, but I think that's where we differ. Whereas
Gotcha.
I just can't view community like that.
So their strategy to fulfill that need would be to kind of keep it in the family or some close-knit friends. And your strategy might be to include a lot more people. I don't know exactly how you define it, but much more broadly than they would. Okay. I wonder if there's an opportunity to communicate that difference, and even if you don't agree on the strategy, maybe you can come to at least some sort. Maybe they can understand that. Um, hmm. This is almost turning into nonviolent communication coaching. I don't know if you want to go in that direction. You're still cool to keep going for a little
Yeah,
more?
for
Okay.
sure.
So, kind of based off what you've told me, I could suggest a way to communicate this to them. Would you want to communicate that? It sounds like you would.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come up again, so
Okay.
why not?
Yeah. So, what we want to do is, you know, start by you want to tell them what's alive inside of you. So you can start with. Usually, we start with an observation. It sounds like they already know what you're doing, so that might not be necessary. So you might say like, I really have, I really love. I get a when I'm doing my organizing, it really invokes the emotion of love. You might want to work on the wording there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Usually, it's more of a feeling like something sad, happy, depressed, melancholy.
I mean, if it does evoke happiness, I can just go with
Happiness. That is a much easier term to work with. Thank you. Okay, so when I'm doing my organizing, it really invokes so much happiness. And what underlies, this happiness is really the need to preserve the well-being of my community. And you can describe exactly to them what that means. And it, it when they talk about you doing this, and maybe they're critical of you, it sounds like. How do you feel when they're critical?
I mean, I value their opinions a lot, so sometimes it can make me question. Um, well, actually, that's not even true. I never really question what I'm doing. It's more that I don't know. I feel a weird level of shame.
Okay.
I'm not sure why. I think it's just like animalistic. Like it just triggers because they're disappointed in me and they're my parents. I don't really have a justification for it.
Yeah. No, I understand that. That probably I would imagine. You can correct me if I'm wrong. That shame probably comes from a need for approval, or at least a desire for approval from your parents. I think that might be instinctual, like you said,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. So you might want to word that. You might want to tell them, that how much happiness the organizing brings you. Tell them that part that's alive in you, and then you might want to tell them the shame part that's alive in you. You might want to say um, when you and you want to be very specific with your observation. This would be a good time to use an observation. You would want to say exactly what they are doing that invokes that shame, right? So, do you have maybe an example phrase that they might say that might invoke that shame?
Um, I don't have specific words for it, but sometimes when they just like undermine what I do, like call it nonsense or like anything like that.
Okay, that gives me something to work with here.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry you have to that invokes that this that shame. Um, I just want to acknowledge that I understand that, and I think I've experienced that in the past as well. So you would want to make that observation clear. So when you say my organizing is nonsense, I feel shameful because I have a need for approval as you're my parents, and it's kind of an instinctual to want your approval. And then you want to conclude with a request. You could say, I would like you to hear me out and really try to understand my organizing and why it invokes such happiness for me. What do you think?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that they would respond positively to that?
I think it would force them to have a more serious conversation about it and really like consider that this is something that's actually important in my life if I'm like wanting to have such a direct and emotional conversation with them. So I think that's
I think the beautiful thing about having that kind of conversation is when we talk about our needs and when the person who we might be having that argument, conflict, whatever you want to call disagreement, and when we talk about those universal needs and we realize that the other person has those same needs and they might just be applying it with a different strategy, I think that builds such a great connection. And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And if you do end up taking any of my advice, you don't have to, obviously. Um, that I hope that it's something that can be beautiful and you can have that connection with your parents. I know you said it didn't really matter. It didn't matter. It matters, but you could keep going, keep having that relationship with them. But maybe it could enhance that relationship. I think it'd be just fantastic. Because I guess what I'm trying to do is like with these conversations, if it goes down this particular route, I want to try to help people enrich their lives in some degree. I guess it stems from the preservation of well-being. We have that same kind of desire. So
that's interesting. Do they usually go down the nonviolent communication?
lately they have. I think I am unconsciously suggesting that, I think. Because I think when I ask what did I ask? Did I say what's important to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of things that are important to people are things that are extremely personal. And I don't, like, I guess somebody could say their belief in a God is very important. A lot of people would. Um, but I think that, like, a lot of times it's not like this truth claim or this normative claim that is really important to people. Because I used to ask the question, what is something you believe is true? That gets more of people who might be talking. What just happened? I have no idea why it stopped. It got too hot.
No.
I think it saved, but yeah. Just gonna restart it. Oh, maybe I won't. We'll just do audio only from this point on. That was weird. Okay, what was I saying? I was saying like when I used that prompt, I used to use that, and I used to get a lot of normative claims or you know what normative claims mean? Sorry, that's kind of a
like true, false, or
no. It's more of when people use the word should.
mm-hmm.
Abortion should be legal, illegal. Guns should be legal, illegal. It's like describing a behavior that we should do.
Mm.
And I either get normative claims or truth claims, factual things. Right.
Then is normative claim like assuming that something should be reality?
Not kind of. It's more. Some people consider normative claims opinions.
Mm.
not like opinions in the sense of I like ice cream or something, but in the sense of like some people call it morality, moral claims. So I get a lot of those and those. But when I ask what's important to people, a lot of times it's more of like, um, I don't know even know how to describe it. What would you describe how you answered? What category is that? I don't even know myself. It's a brand new category. It's a personal conflict issue area. I guess I don't know. That seems to come up more, which is interesting. Because I would have assumed that that question is almost the same. It's really not, I guess. At least in my experience so far.
Interesting.
You got anything for me?
Any questions?
Any questions? Any comments, concerns, feedback?
Why did you decide to start doing this?
Um, well, when I decided to start doing street epistemology, because what I observed was people believing in these things that they thought were true, and then taking action based off those things. At least I thought. Yeah, you still do think that's the case sometimes. And I wanted to enable them to reflect and critically analyze whether they came to the correct conclusion. Therefore, that behavior would not occur anymore. I think I've changed a little bit since then, and I've kind of decided I don't really. I mean, I'd like to change the world for the better, and I think I'm doing a little teensy bit of that. But I think it's less about any particular issue, and I would just like people to just think about the reasons for what they think is true, and you know, walk down the path from neutral to belief, and try to figure out if they've used something a good way to get there and obtain truth without maybe and figure out if they could be mistaken. That's more of the street epistemology stuff. The nonviolent communication. I think when people communicate that they do it in such a poor way, and it's not anyone's fault that this occurs. I think we've grown up, and I'm talking maybe worldwide. We've grown up in a place that communicates so poorly. Like, what's a good example? I don't even know. Like, if I'm at home and my daughter leaves, she's only 2 right now, but let's pretend she's not. She leaves her socks in the middle of the living room. And I could say, "Why would you leave your socks on me? You need to put them away right now." And that's going to invoke immediate defensiveness, and she's going to hear a criticism. It was a criticism. But if I were to say, "Hey, I see that your socks are on the floor right there. Observation. I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know. I'm feeling uh, saddened. I guess maybe we'll just use that one for simplicity. That the socks are there, and the reason why I'm sad is because I really like the house to be neat and organized. I would really like you to take the socks, put them in the hamper. And I think when it's presented that way, I think everything that I said in that same time was true. Like, right for me. The first one was probably true as well, but it communicates something entirely different. It gives the whole story instead of this little tiny snippet that can just be a criticism.
That's interesting. I feel like people would be a lot less. People's lives would be better if everyone just did the second way.
Yeah.
And it would be just as effective as good. very interesting.
Anything else you got for me?
That was it.
That was awesome. I'm glad I tested that out.